Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Valeria and this is the off-road range. Sometimes workdays start like this. The Thor is capricious and doesn't want to start. Either it is because of the heat or the oil in the mixture settles to the bottom of the gas tank, but the Thor doesn't start right away. After repeated attempts to start the Thor, the spark plug is filled with gasoline and the Thor will no longer start. I have to unscrew the spark plug and wait for the gasoline to evaporate. If necessary, I also clean it from carbon deposits that form during the work process. Today I will show you the cutting of two large trees that I cut down a few months ago. I did it before the plant woke up from winter, before it released juices for growth. I gave some of the large healthy trunks to make a ladder, but haven't yet installed it. And I left the rest of the wood to dry for easier cutting today. During this time, the grass rose high and the tree drowned in vegetation. It took a lot of effort to pull the branches out of the grass, and the lawnmower wouldn't be able to help here, since the cord would hit the branches and they would rather fly into me than become available for cutting. Although sometimes I show the same things in my videos, you can see everything yourself. In addition, I show all the stages of work, and you can adopt what you need to suit yourself. One large tree takes at least a week of work alone, especially on a large plot of land. You need to cut small branches, large branches, you need to cut the trunk. And all this must be done safely for yourself, so that the saw doesn't get stuck in the trunk and doesn't jump out of the trunk. You need to make sure that you hold the saw below your neck and cut no higher than your hip level. You want full control of the powerful tool. The saw doesn't automatically stop if the chain gets on your hand or foot. The saw will continue to cut, and you will remain disabled forever. Therefore, if I feel that I am tired, even minimally, I stop working. This is not a process where you can think about something of your own or look around. In addition, all trees are of different densities. Each requires a different approach. Dry, old, lightweight wood will cut through in a couple of seconds, and the powerful trunk of an oak will dull the chain while you cut. And if you are cutting a living tree that is leaking sticky sap, this is good neither for the Thor, nor for your safety, nor for the ecosystem. I won't show absolutely all the work. For example, how I move the branches from place to place. It is pretty boring. Just know that in any case, everything needs to be done right away, after a few days at most. Firstly, grass will grow through the branches and you simply won't find them, and it will be difficult for you to pull them out. In addition, if you leave branches and small debris, then later, when mowing, you can ruin the size, or a branch from under the cord will fly into your face. Thirdly, you should always clean up after yourself and leave the place clean, the way you would like to see it later. This also applies to large sawmills. If you visit the forest, especially where logging is carried out, pay attention to how clean the forest leaves behind. Forest care is a guarantee of the growth of a new high-quality forest. It is an opportunity to develop a new ecosystem quickly and correctly. Although, of course, it is ideal that deforestation in general would be reduced significantly throughout the planet, and that tree planting and preserving the planet would be a priority for humanity. Almost every one of us today feels heat waves all living things die in. And this will get worse since irreversible changes in warming the planet have already occurred. You need to understand this and make efforts to reduce production capacity. In fact, a person needs dozens of times less than what is used to extract minerals and produce goods. But a decrease in production volumes means a loss of money and power for higher ups, so we only hear talk about climate change without action. Perhaps you, the viewer, still can change something. Due to the fact that it dried out in a couple of months, cutting is quite quick and easy. And yes, a separate topic is the correct felling, because you need to calculate as accurately as possible in which direction and when the tree will fall. You may get the saw bar pinched in the trunk and break the saw, and that is over $1,000 as of July 2024. But this is the best option, since your price will be just money. After all, a tree can fall on you, or on your assistant, or on a car if you use cables to hook the trunk and pull towards you. Or you could drop a tree on your house, on a trailer, or break your power lines and face hundreds of thousands of dollars in fines. If you work in windy weather, then this is a different story, where you need to adapt not only to the natural slope of the tree trunk, but also to the direction and speed of the wind. But in general, in windy weather it is better not to cut down trees, unless you are a professional. And of course, you cannot do it alone. Today I will show you how to cut another tree. It will be a close-up and clearer for you. Please note that the tree stump is cut crosswise. Why am I doing this? This way the sap comes out faster, tree roots dries out better, and ants that feed on the sap do not breed on the plot of land. The sap may continue to ooze for several months, in which case no amount of paint or tree treatment will help stop it. Of course, I feel no pleasure to cut down these trees, but they are more than 30 years old, and for fruit trees, this is already a long time. In addition, due to the fact that they were not cared for a long time, they are partially dried out, partially eaten by insects, and they do not bear fruit anymore. They block access to the sun and prevent other plants from developing. The fuel is over. When the saw runs out of fuel while cutting, this is not the best option, since the saw bar may collapse and jam the saw. And if you don't break the bar, you can spend a lot of time trying to get the saw out using other tools, like an axe and a handsaw. Or the saw may jerk, and you will not be able to hold a tool of such power in your hands, and you injure yourself. I was very lucky. The trunk was suspended and dropped a little under its own weight, so I easily pulled out the saw. But the fact that the saw ran out of gas while cutting is my fault. Before cutting large trunk, you need to check the fuel level and oil level. In addition to filling up with gasoline, I clean the bar from shavings and black oil and also tighten the chain, which stretches during operation. This must be done constantly, preferably with every fuel replenishment. You see with your own eyes that construction and development is slow and difficult. When a person has enough money, any process can be turned into bright action or even entertainment, throwing money and time down the drain. Unfortunately, there are quite a lot of such videos, and people don't understand how difficult the work really is and what is really needed for development. What qualities you need to develop in yourself, what the order of work should be, what the quality of execution should be. And everything leads to simplification and loss of standards and high-performance results. And this lack of knowledge and skills is passed on to next generations, causing the world to degrade as a whole. But no matter how much a person wants to escape into social networks and routine monkey job behind a computer, the world is not created from computers, and the provision of any services is possible only with the presence of physical infrastructure, skillful hands, an active brain, and rational use of natural resources. Therefore, think more often with your head and work with your hands. You will largely find the meaning of life and achieve success if you touch how the world works and not spend your life on social networks. And remember that no matter how much you want to abstract yourself from reality, everything that happens far from you, both physically and psychologically, directly affects you from your birth, and you must become a participant in this process for the better. I hope that you will support me by liking, subscribing, and donating, for which I leave the details in the video description. It was Valeria, the Off-Road Ranch. I wish you all the best and see you soon.